and the biggest challenge in Zimbabwe, which I think is going away more and more. You know, there used to be a lot of uncertainty about inflation, jumps up and down, you never know what. At least in Africa, you know, when you are sick, your uncle can just drop in and say, hey, how are you? Your family is here, people who love you are here. But Zimbabwe is a tough area to invest. You're never really sure. I think sometimes, like real projects, when you want to do investment, I've inquired, for example, about mining, and the feedback I got was very interesting. I met a guy in Australia once who told me, when I was in Zimbabwe, I thought I had some material wealth and I thought I was rich, and I thought if I only go to Australia or some other richer country, I'm gonna be so rich. And now I'm here and I feel like I'm so poor because all I have is money.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today I'm here just to have a conversation with a brother of mine who is based in Australia. So there are some questions that I just want to ask him, considering that he now has 22 years living in Australia. We want to understand what life in the diaspora is like, and is it really worth relocating back to Zimbabwe? If you're someone who is planning to move back to Zimbabwe, you should definitely watch this video because it's going to help you understand some of the things that are happening in Zimbabwe. And also, maybe if you're someone who is considering to relocate from Zimbabwe going to the diaspora, what is it that you should expect in the diaspora? So I hope you are going to benefit much on this video because it's going to share his personal journey. Because like I said, he has got 22 years living in Australia. And one thing that I found most interesting on his journey, like living in Australia and also coming back to Zimbabwe, is that he has been traveling to Zimbabwe quite often. I think in every year he makes sure that he comes back to Zimbabwe. So why is it that he's not thinking of just settling in Zimbabwe? He has got some works that he's doing in Zimbabwe. He has got some charity works that he does here in Zimbabwe. Why is he not just saying, now I have to settle in Zimbabwe? Is life in Zimbabwe that hard? Or maybe he's just someone who is interested in life in the diaspora? We don't know, but we are going to understand everything. Hopefully you're also going to enjoy watching this video.
My name is Peter Muradzikwa and I'm based in Canberra, Australia.
Mr. Peter, thank you so much for being on this channel. How long have you been in Australia?
I've been in Australia for about 22 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're not thinking of coming back to Zimbabwe?
I come regularly, but you know, it's after 22 years, it's half of my life has been as much in Australia as in Zimbabwe, and certainly my adult life.
Okay.
And I think of coming to Zimbabwe, but you know, schools, children, where to move them, what to do, jobs and stuff, that's always, you know, you kind of lose connection with a lot of things in Zim as well.
Okay. So the main reason why I'm asking you this, I've seen a trend, especially on social media, whereby people, they are saying, you have to come back to Zimbabwe, home is the best. And is it something that doesn't come in your head like regularly?
Yeah, well, home is best for some people, right? I think this is, I'm not, so I speak for myself. And I think, you know, if you have a big family here and everyone's here and you kind of stay connected with them, it's easy to come back. And probably those people will come back, that's the situation. But as for myself, my whole family moved to Australia. So if I decide to come here, I'm leaving my parents, my sister, my nephews and nieces in Australia to come here to be alone. So, you know, it's one of those things where which comes, you know, and my children as well, whether what they think, that's another thing. So in my retirement, as an old man, I may decide to just come here.
Okay. Or you may also decide just to stay in Australia.
Yeah, of course, because if my children start having children, I want to stay close to my grandchildren and people who love me. And you know, I think that no one loves me more than those people. So my decision is no longer about just me.
Okay. So in this case, are you saying that if you are relocating maybe to Australia or maybe any other country, you have to go with your family for it to be better or for it to be a comfortable life for you while we are outside of Zimbabwe?
Absolutely.
Well, I heard you saying that you have to make sure that your life is in order before you relocate to Zimbabwe. What do you mean by this?
As in, your children are okay, your family is okay, and you have ways to stay in touch, pretty much. It's almost the same decision to go, right? You are leaving your family, you're leaving, but at one point, if your whole family moves there, then the decision becomes, do I leave my family and children here and come here? So that's, they say home is where the heart is.
Okay.
And if your heart is in your family, then I guess that settles that.
Okay. Do you think it's possible for someone maybe to relocate from maybe Australia and come back to Zimbabwe without having put in the effort of planning, especially where to live, the job to do while you are back in Zimbabwe, or even some projects to do? Is it possible?
Well, it's if you're retiring and you have your money in Australia and your retirement is being paid to you, then you can come here as long as I guess you can come here and live, and you don't really need a project. But like vice versa, like going anywhere else in the world, you need to plan, you need to know how you're gonna fund your living. And the biggest challenge in Zimbabwe, which I think is going away more and more, there used to be a lot of uncertainty about inflation, jumps up and down. You never know what's what. But that seems to be cooling down a little bit. So maybe in the future, that's something that many people won't have to think about.
How is life like in the diaspora, considering the fact that many people, they are really thinking of coming back? How is life like out of Zim?
Yeah, like I said, right, it's an individual experience thing. For me, it's been good. I love Zimbabwe dearly. I make sure I come every year. I make sure I come every year. I love the Zambezi, canoeing down the Zambezi, hanging out in mana pools or Kariba. I love wildlife and nature, and nothing can replace those places for me. So I have to touch the Zambezi water. But at the same time, I've moved there now, and 22 years later, it's I don't even know what. I have more friends now in Australia than I have in Zimbabwe.
Oh, really?
That's, yeah.
So are there any projects besides the charity project that you are doing back here in Zimbabwe? Are there any other projects that you are doing currently in Zimbabwe?
No, not at the moment. There are some things we're looking at, but Zimbabwe is a tough area to invest. You're never really sure. I think sometimes, like real projects, when you want to do investment, I've inquired, for example, about mining, and the feedback I got was very interesting. So after that, I just gave up halfway. There's been other things here and there that I've discussed with a few people. And and it kind of, when you try to look at the feasibility of things from outside, it seems the culture in Zimbabwe has shifted. The culture of doing business has shifted. And I guess being conditioned in a completely different environment for business, because I grew up, I finished high school here, I did university and started doing business in Australia. So maybe my cultural look at how things get done is a little bit different. So then you just become a little bit scared, a little bit kind of how things are done here. And because of that, I've just resorted to, I'll just do charity. And that's good enough for now.
So what advice would you give to someone who is planning to move from Zimbabwe to any other country that is not in Africa?
Honestly, the issues are the same, right? At least in Africa, you know, when you are sick, your uncle can just drop in and say, hey, how are you? Your family's here. People who love you are here. I met a guy in Australia once who told me, when I was in Zimbabwe, I thought I had some material wealth and I thought I was rich. And I thought if I only go to Australia or some other richer country, I'm going to be so rich. And now I'm here and I feel like I'm so poor because all I have is money. Well, yeah, but it does making money make you better? You know, you when you realize that, okay, you have the money, but you're lonely. And there is no people who understand you, who you can, you know, then you start to wonder, right? Well, what's better here? Is it the money or the company? And at the end, it's just people are different. And it's you know, every circumstance is going to be unique to different people. And like I said, for me, I've been lucky to be able to build a family, to also have most of my family there. So I feel I have both my family and I have a more stable financial situation in Australia with my children, my whole extended family. So I think that's, for me, that's been a bonus. And many people don't have that. Life in diaspora, it's unique to each and every one person, but it's not necessarily better. You know, you can go there and you can be okay, but nothing beats home. My view is that if you can manage with people around you, then do that. The grass is not always greener. But if you get a good golden ticket to go somewhere, then be free. Be a child of the world. Be able to move around, share your experiences overseas, bring experiences from overseas, bring them here, share those experiences and travel. Don't restrict yourself to Zimbabwe. But at the same time, don't feel the need that you're missing out. There is nothing necessarily, you know, there's better things for individuals, but not necessarily like everyone who goes is going to have a good life. That's not the case. It's, you know, see the world.
Exposure.
Yeah, get exposure, but, you know, share your experiences.
Okay. Thank you so much for being on this channel. I really appreciate your insights about life in diaspora and also life of relocating back to Zimbabwe. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
So guys, this is all that we had for today, and I hope you really enjoyed watching this video. Up until next time, cheers.